Hi, I'm Richard Winstone, and this is my video response to Ofgem's statutory consultation on consumer standards. Hi everyone, sorry this is a bit late. I know today's the last day we can post this, so if you wanted to send this in as a link to Ofgem, feel free to, or email them at the email address in the description below with your thoughts on their consumer standards statutory consultation. And hi Ofgem, this is my first time doing a video response. I saw in the document that I just have to send a response by the 23rd. It didn't say it had to be written, and I figured this might be an easier way and quicker way for me to address some of the consultations going forwards. Please let me know if this is not an appropriate way to respond to consultations, and I'll adapt. So the Consumer Standards Statutory Consultation was posted by Ofgem in July. It's a 98-page beast of a document where they're trying to up customer service standards, basically. So energy suppliers' customer service standards are falling, and Ofgem are trying to put in some more regulation that works both for suppliers and customers to improve customer service ratings without being too prescriptive on suppliers. There's a bunch of changes in here they want to go through. A link to the document is below, but I figured I would just answer their 6 questions and then give some commentary at the end. Okay, so the first couple of questions are coupled together, which is, do you have any comments or questions on our proposed license changes to improve supplier contact ease? And do you have any comments or views on our proposed contact ease guidance document? We welcome evidence of ways in which suppliers are already delivering best practice. Second question, I think, is more targeted at suppliers. For them, gives them an opportunity to prove themselves that they're already doing the best they can for customers. To which obviously the evidence is contradictory. Do I have comments or questions on the proposed license changes to improve supplier contact ease? For the most part, I want to say that any improvement is good. So any changes you're putting in this consultation, through this consultation, to be stricter with energy suppliers on improving customer service standards, I agree with. My own comment to that, I don't think they go far enough, and I do think more prescription is needed. I think having some KPIs, not everything has to have KPIs, that's key performance indicators, but some things should and could. So yeah, I think you should put them in. For example, call waiting times, rather than just saying that we're answered quickly. There's no real definition of quickly, and they're doing the best they can and things like that. I think it should be 5-10 minutes if you want to do it in a stepped approach. Give them, say they have to answer a call within 10 minutes, or they'll receive a fine, and make it a set fee per customer. And you find out how many calls they didn't answer within 10 minutes, and multiply that by the fee. It's easy enough to do, and it will really motivate suppliers to be a bit better at that sort of thing. The other thing that you're focusing on here is the opening hours for contact centres. I know some suppliers said that would be costly, but I do agree that it would be beneficial for customers to have out of business hours contact hours, if that makes sense. So anything outside of the standard Monday to Friday 9 to 5. I agree you shouldn't be too prescriptive there. Let the supplier decide on their own opening hours. That's reasonable. But I do think you might want to be prescriptive about the number of hours per week, that at least a minimum number of hours per week that a supplier has to be open. Because what they may do is go, okay, we'll be open Monday to Thursday from 8 until 7, but then we'll shut on Fridays. I do think we don't want them to just balance out the hours. So saying a minimum of 45, 50 hours per week you have an open call centre, that is slightly more prescriptive without telling them exactly when they have to be open. I think that would be useful. So the next question is, do you have any comment or questions on our proposed license changes to better support customers struggling with their bills? Yes and no. It kind of ties into your competition framework. I think there needs to be more competition sooner. Customers will do better with their bills if they're able to get a cheaper fixed rate tariff. Those that are struggling with their bills are engaged in the energy market, and they're looking for ways to save money. And if they're not able to save money because suppliers aren't offering cheap rate tariffs, and there's a ban on acquisition only tariffs, so they're not getting cheap rates from other suppliers, and there's the market stabilization charge, so some suppliers aren't taking customers on. I know I tried to switch to Octopus. It was around Christmas, so it was good 8-9 months ago, but they wouldn't take me on because they weren't taking on customers. Maybe that's changed now, but I do know the market stabilisation charge is still in place, which is reducing competition and therefore reducing the availability of cheap rate tariffs. All of these things are going to mean customers stick on the really expensive variable tariffs because they're the only thing available with the same supplier, and they're just going to keep building debt. I think this is a good measure. What you're putting in place is a good measure for trying to support customers that are already in debt, but we also need to tackle debt before it becomes too much of an issue. On top of that, customers are able to catch up with their debt if they're offered a cheaper rate tariff. So the energy they're paying for is cheaper, and that means if they keep their payments the same, that extra buffer is just chiseling away at their debt. I think that's a good idea. Hopefully you can implement something to try and reinstigate competition in the market and help customers lower their bills. Question 4, do you have any comments on or questions on our proposed license changes to require suppliers to publish information on their customer service performance as measured by citizens' advice? No, I don't really have any comments there. I think it's a good idea. I think it might be worthwhile if Ofgem did an annual survey of people that have been in contact with them to get their views on their supplier and see how they've changed and improved, things like that, and make suppliers show those ratings as well. I do actually, sorry, I have one comment. I also think you could use the citizens' advice star rating system as a KPI. So you could put in regulations that state that suppliers must meet a minimum star rating on citizens' advice. Otherwise, they get fined or something like that. I do have another idea, but I'll mention that after all of the questions. So please stay on for the commentary at the end. Question 5, could you provide any further detailed evidence on potential costs and benefits of our revised proposals? Costs are going to cost the supplier something, but their profits are going through the roof, and you guys have been very active in the last 2 years in adjusting the price cap to ensure all costs are efficiently covered and that they're getting more money. So I think there's been 20, 30, maybe 40 changes to increase the price cap over the last 2 years. There shouldn't really be any worry on their side of the costs, and they should now be using that money to make sure they're actually, giving a good customer service standard. The benefits are obvious. Customers can actually contact their suppliers and deal with their energy bills, which is something that we're in dire need of at the moment. As your last survey did on customer services, your last review, it showed that there was almost 50% of calls went unanswered from certain energy suppliers, and customer service standards or ratings had fallen from 75 to 65%. There was a lot of decline, and it seems to have shown that there's been decline over the last 3 years. So yeah, the benefits are hopefully suppliers will look better because they're actually providing a decent level of customer services, and customers will actually get a decent level of customer services, and there'd be a little less anger in the world over energy, which can only be a good thing for everybody. Question 6, could you provide detailed evidence or information on the proposed timescales for implementation of our revised proposals? No, I've got no detailed evidence or information on that. You guys are going to decide when to do that, with or without my input, so I won't add anything there. Okay, so the final piece of commentary I want to provide to Ofgem here is to look at the motives of energy suppliers before regulating and who's really in charge. And I think this is a really important viewpoint. Now, the employees of an energy company work for the managers work for the directors, and the directors work for the shareholders, and the shareholders care about profits. The majority of these shareholders don't even live in the UK, so they don't really care about the customer. And so to a shareholder, customer services is nothing but an expense. Now, if you're trying to improve customer services, you need the shareholders to care, because the employees are just doing what their bosses tell them, which is what their bosses tell them, which is what the shareholders tell them to get more money. So we do, unfortunately, have to relate it all back to money and find a way to give a financial incentive to shareholders to give a damn about customer services. And the best idea I have is for you to put a blanket ban on paying out dividends unless minimum customer service standards are reached. I promise you, if you do that, the shareholders all of a sudden will give a damn about customer services, and there will be a lot more money invested into customer services, and you can improve the market instantly. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a high standard. You don't have to say unrealistically high. Set it at a medium standard and just say this is the minimum that you have to reach. And you can use citizens' advice, star ratings. You could use KPIs on phone response times or open hours. There are so many different ways that you could implement this, and it would be to the benefit of consumers and to the energy suppliers, because customers will have a better experience. Eventually, they'll get through all of the backlog of problems, and their customer services will just have a bit of a breather. But I think the only way to really improve customer service standards is to make shareholders care about customer services, and they only care about the money. That's the point of being a shareholder. Okay, and the directors care about giving the money to shareholders. That's the point of being a director. They have a legal obligation to do what's best for shareholders, not what's best for customers. So you need to make that obligation on their money and say no dividend payout unless these customer service standards are met. I realise I've said that and I don't even know if you have the authority to do that, but I do know that you recently said no dividends can be paid out unless they've ring-fenced certain money. So I do believe you may have some power there, and I think it's something that should be seriously considered, because otherwise it's an uphill battle on the customer services front, because you're fighting against the energy supplier. You want the energy suppliers to want to be better at customer services. And as it stands, customer services is just a cost and they want to minimize it. So you need to give them a benefit of investing in customer services, and that'll be the dividend payouts that they won't get if they don't do it. Personally, I think that's reasonable. Obviously, that's just my 2 cents worth. For everyone that's not Ofgem watching this video, if you do want to give your feedback to Ofgem, as I said, the email address is in the description below. I should have it superimposed on the screen right now as well. So do that today. Today's the last day of this consultation being open, the 23rd of August. And Ofgem will obviously take our thoughts into consideration. But for the most part, I'm positive of this consultation. I think putting in any extra regulation to make customer services improvements is a good thing. And even if we don't get what we've asked for, I'm happy that you're doing something here to help consumers. So thank you for that. If you like this video, you want to get more consultation videos and to understand what's going on in the market, please do subscribe to the Over50smoney YouTube channel. If you have any questions, you can email me at richard@over50smoney.com. Sorry, one final thing there for Ofgem. This is a non-confidential response. Feel free to post this on your website. I know I usually have to confirm that. If it's not obvious though, because obviously it's on my YouTube channel, which is a public domain. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with another video on Friday when Ofgem are set to announce the new price cap update, as well as a couple of other bits. I'll do a video update on everything that's announced that morning. The announcements are at 7 a.m, so the video should be uploaded by 9 a.m, ready for you all to view on your working days. Thanks again. I'm Richard Winstone with Over50s Money, and I'll be back soon. Bye.